All right, hello. It's Robert Burns again with Robert Burns II Photography. Win on your wedding day. So today we're going to be a little bit different. Today I'd like to get into a common question that I often get, specifically when it comes to RAW, when it comes to photography and videography, but especially videography. So as you know, or maybe don't know, the world is moving to video, and as we move into video, more and more of this request is happening. This raw footage, this unedited footage, raw this, raw that. And to be honest with you, there is a lot of misinformation out there. So why am I creating this video? Like, what's the point? I'm running dozens and dozens of consultations where I sit down with my clients and I ask them, what are you looking to do with your day? How do we run the show? This is what's going on. What questions do you have? I answer those questions. And so often, this question determines whether I'm going to be a good fit for you, you're going to be a good fit for me, in terms of, what you're looking to do, what I'm looking to do, and how we can marry, pun intended, those two to, so to speak. So when I get this question a lot of times, when it's coming from a place of, I see a lot of bridal blogs, I see a lot of websites like The Knot, like Wedding Wire, those types of resources, they're advising, informing brides and couples that we should be doing this. We should be asking for this. This is why we should be asking for it. But when I look at a lot of their rationale and reasons, it is not very fair to the vendors, and it also isn't very fair to you. The reason is why. This is the reason. Essentially, when they're saying ask for as much as you can get, ask for this, ask for that, a lot of times they don't factor in what you're actually able to even process with the hard drive that you've got, with the computer that you've got. It's like, ask for this, but what is the purpose of asking for it? And then it's not even a question of a vendor doesn't want to provide that. It's like, can you use it? Can you open it? So we're actually going to get really deep into what I'm talking about here, because I'm speaking a little vague right now, but I promise you I'm actually going to get into some details of like why this request is tricky. So let's jump in, okay? So the first things first, when we're talking about like raw footage, what is typically referred to as raw footage is like, when you go to my wedding, when you film, can you just like film from beginning to end and send me an edited video, but can you also send me the whole thing, all the footage you took? Can you just give me that? And there's nothing wrong with that, but let's talk about what exactly that means first. So the first analogy I like to use is when we talk about raw, let's look at raw meat, raw steak. What does that exactly mean? Basically, raw is uncooked. It is unseasoned. It is anything. It is just everything, here you go on a platter. And I get the request. I understand where the request comes from, because again, these blogs and these people are telling you, go ask for it, look for it, do this, get this. If you're not getting this, they're cheating you. If you're not getting this, you're stupid. That's basically what they're trying to say. Because I'm the one who's going to keep it real with you. And so this is a real video. We can talk all that nice talk, but like at the end of the day, they're asking you to ask for something that, at the end of the day is not really going to be to your benefit. And I'm going to continue to explain why. So right here, they're asking for raw meat. They want you to go for it. But what I propose to you is that the only people who actually could work with raw meat is a chef. So you wouldn't actually give raw meat to the customer unless they like their meat ultra rare. In which case you still need a high-end restaurant and a great chef who knows how to prepare that so it's safe for you to eat. So from a raw meat standpoint, you're not going to give raw meat to the customer, generally speaking, in a restaurant. You're more than likely not going to do the same thing as a photographer or a videographer. And I think a lot of people who are looking for this raw footage, a lot of times, basically they end up having to go to an amateur who's not a professional, who doesn't know, and will give them the raw footage that they want. But then here's the thing, they'll get the raw footage and they'll complain about it. Well, I wonder why you're going to complain. Because it's not edited, it's not seasoned, it's not anything. So that's part of the issue, is that we got to start to look at what raw footage actually is. That's the first piece. But there's more to the story here, right? So when we go to the definition of what raw footage is, I don't work for this company. I just found this on the web. There's dozens, probably hundreds of articles that go into this. So this is a secondary source. What is it and why is it useful, right? So they say if you're not intimately familiar with video production, you might assume that raw footage is a bunch of clips that look pretty much like the final product, just without the assembly and final touches. But if that's what you're expecting, you might be confused when instead you receive a long, disorganized list of files that you probably can't even open. The shots will likely be out of order, and if you manage to watch one of the videos, it won't have the look or feel of the final product. So this is what I mean when I say like there's misinformation going around, because we're running a business and we have many people that come to us, and these are great people, and many of these people ultimately do end up working with us and booking with us. But it takes this conversation over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like, well, why don't we make a video that kind of addresses this in even greater detail? So that way, at your leisure, you can look at this. You can also do your own research on what I'm saying and verify it on your own. Because what they're saying is raw footage is not what you think. So the key to the raw footage here, they have it in bold, is that it's meant to be edited. Basically, again, like I just said, the key. We mean to give you cooked meat. We're not trying to give you anything that's like not prepared. But if we gave you the raw meat, you would get sick and have to go to the hospital. So that's the purpose of why we're not giving it to you. We don't want you to get sick, So here's another piece of this. Raw files are large. They take tons of storage space and processing power to work with, which is why professional editing software is so critical for post-production. So here's the best part of this video. I wanted to save this until I got a little further in so I could give you the context. I actually made a chart that kind of goes through like the who, what, why, when, where, and how of everything. So I'm pulling it up now, and this is it. So I'm just dragging it over here. And basically, what's going on here? This is the real costs of raw footage. Like, this is what it really costs, because say we do actually offer it. Everything has a price. Every business has a way to offer something, but at what does it cost, right? So right here, when you first look at this, you're probably like, okay, what the hell am I looking at, right? Okay, basically I have this broken into 1, 2, and 3 columns. The first column on the left is what you would receive back if you went with a standard edit. A standard edit meaning a 3 to 5 minute video, much like the ones that are on my website, under the videography tab on the top. So if you go back to my website and you were to look at, let's say, this is the videography tab I'm talking about, and you were to watch, let's say, this video right here, or this video right here, or pretty much any video on this page, any of these videos are standard 3 to 5 minute edits. In this case, it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and this video is optimized for the web. So what do I mean when I say that? I mean that the storage space is very, 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 very low. So an example would be if we were to say, let's just say this video. Any of these videos right here, this video, the storage space would be 374 megabytes, right? That's how small that video is. That is less than half of a gigabyte. Now, why am I talking about that? I know none of us really care about the specs. I know as a customer, all you care about is the bottom line price, that you get the amazing video that you want. But here's the thing. Even that video at that 374 megabytes it is amazing. It is high definition. So when you watch that video, it's going to show up on YouTube or on Dropbox as high definition. It's going to be crystal clear. It's going to be 2.5 minutes long. You're going to be able to share it. You're going to be able to download it. You're going to be able to own it. So you're not going to miss anything by having this standard edit. You also won't need, that's what this is, a special program or fast computer needed to just view it. You could literally watch this video on Facebook, on your phone. Everything you want to be able to do, you can do. And you could do so at a 5-minute video, a 2-minute video, a 10-minute video. There's no way that you wouldn't be able to watch that video. As a matter of fact, it's more accessible than these other formats, right? So say we started to go into the raw footage territory. Well, first thing you'll see is that the more we get on the raw side, the unedited side, that footage becomes much bigger. The reason is because of compression. So compression is a technological process that actually shrinks the size of your raw footage. Why do we do that? We do that to be able to present final images and final movies and videos to our customers. So we shrink that so that it could become more standard and usable. But if we don't do that, we're trying to retain the value of the actual data. So why would we do that? As a videographer, we're trying to get as much data as possible so we have the highest quality product to work from to begin with. That would be the equivalent of getting a steak at, like, the finest cut of meat. We want the finest cut. We want the filet mignon. We want the nicest cut. We want the sirloin. We want something really nice. We're not looking for like the bottom, the rounds. We're not really looking for that. Flank is nice, but wouldn't you rather have the filet? That's the same thing as this video editing. So we want as much space as possible to be able to view these raw footage files. So because we need way more space, the price of that footage goes up. Now I could say this, right? But it's like, okay, well, what are you talking about, man? I don't see it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So just like they say in this article, we can't overstate this. Files containing raw footage are large, they take tons of storage space. Let's look at the hard drives that you actually need to be able to hold on to these files. So when they say what's the best external hard drive for video editing, this is the stuff that we use. Lacy rugged USB-C 4 terabyte. If you do not work in this industry, I gotta ask, do you know what a terabyte is? A terabyte is like 4 times most people's 100 gigabytes on their devices. On their maybe on your MacBook, you may have like a half a terabyte. Well, a standard editing hard drive is like 4 terabytes. Like, that's the size of them. So if we were to pull up one of these, let's just see this one. This one by itself costs $129 just to have this. And that is not even an optimized hard drive for editing. The reason I know that is because this is an HDD. And that is like one of the older school hard drives that has like a spinny disk, and that you can't really use that for very fast, to go really fast. So what you really need is an SD and SSD, I apologize, an SSD. So with that, the cost actually goes up. So this is a high performance SSD. And basically that's a solid state drive, in case you didn't know. So for you to actually really look at this, you need 2 terabytes. This is a faster hard drive than the one I just was looking at, and that's $290. So if you were going to be actually doing professional video editing, you'd want something like this. And you'd probably want a few of them because you're doing multiple weddings. So the cost is anywhere from $130 up to $290. But a lot of times people are asking for the raw footage at no additional charge. How could there be no additional charge when I just showed you how much it's going to actually take just to hold onto the footage? So that is why when we start to look at this, that's why we start to see this price jump up. So I'll say, and this is not just me, this is anybody who you talk to about doing your videography. You might hear me and you might think, oh, he's crazy. I guarantee you, if you go to any other videographer, they're going to tell you the same thing. You're going to have to pay if you want raw footage at a high resolution. And let's talk about a high resolution now, because HD, that's like your standard. That's what we're looking at. But a lot of times, you know, people like myself, we film in 4K. So like the camera that I use, right? This camera right here, this is a Canon EOS 1DX Mark II. That camera, check and see if your videographer has one of those, because that camera by itself costs like $4,000 by itself, the camera alone. Then we use high-grade lenses that get that high, ultra-high resolution. So the combination of the camera and the lens actually gives you what we call 4K. Now, what exactly is that? 4K is 4 times the resolution of a standard high-definition video. Now, keep this in mind. When you do a standard edit, you can still deliver this in 4K. But if you want raw 4K footage, that's 4 times the space of this. And the reason why is because it's 4 times the resolution. That means that basically the resolution of this camera sensor is 4 times the average camera. And that is why the footage is so big. Basically, look at it one final way. If you were to take one picture from that camera, it would be 4 times the size of a typical camera. That's what's going on with it. And so the footage is 4 times the size. So that's why it can be 4 times the price. So I just wanted people to really understand like the real costs of raw footage. And you know, I had to make this video because, you know, I have an amazing set of clients. I've got dozens of weddings for the next 2 years. And in that privileged position, I'm very grateful for the clientele that I have. They support me, you know, going through the education process of like making sure people are right on board with like what we're talking about, why these decisions are being made. I feel very confident that if after watching this video, you still demand 4K raw footage, we're not a good fit. And I would just really honestly appreciate it if maybe you didn't reach out to begin with, because you know, it's just it's a little frustrating when you are, you know, you spend a lot of time to create resources that are educational and that are helpful to people, that actually really show like what we could do, how we could do it, maybe why this might not be a good idea. And people, sometimes they want to kind of get a little testy and fight about how this is what should be standard. But the deal is this, it's not standard. If it was standard, we probably would all do it. But every videographer I know across multiple states, we're not doing this. So I'll leave you with this final thing. If you're looking to get 4K raw footage, I would go ahead and look at this and be prepared to pay that, because we certainly can do it, but we're just not going to do it for this. So when we look at like this, what does that look like? What is the cost for a standard edit and for the raw footage to go along with that? We'd be probably looking in the probably $200 to $300 mark for this. But if you're looking for raw 4K footage from like 8 to 10 hours of your wedding day, that's going to probably end up being something along the lines of maybe this or even more. It just really depends on the specifics of your day, but that's not something we're standardly offering, and that's not something we're trying to offer. But if you want it, we can discuss it. So with that said, hopefully that's been enough detail for you on, you know, the videography, the drone work, the 4K, the raw footage. Certainly want to be as helpful as possible. If you have further questions, definitely go ahead and reach out here. And make sure that in your inquiry, you mention down here, I want raw footage in 4K. Say that up front, because we can save a lot of time if you just go ahead and say that, and we're on the same page. With that said, I greatly appreciate your time for watching this. I hope that you guys have an amazing day, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.